65-year-old Vivian Carter settled comfortably into her first-class seat, arranging her soft wool shawl and placing her designer handbag by her side. After 4 decades as an educator in Chicago's public school system, she'd earned this small comfort. What she hadn't expected was to find herself at the center of an encounter that would reveal the deep veins of prejudice lurking just beneath the surface at 35,000 feet. Or that her son would step forward as her champion in a moment that would change many lives forever. On the sunlit tarmac, passengers boarded the gleaming aircraft one by one, unaware they were about to witness a moment that would shake assumptions about who belongs where and why. Vivian glanced at her boarding pass again. Seat 1A, it read. First class. A rare indulgence she rarely permitted herself, but her son Daniel had insisted this time. "Mom," he'd said 3 weeks ago over the phone, "you've spent your life taking care of everyone else. Now it's your turn. Let me take care of you." As she smoothed her silver-streaked hair, neatly pulled back into a bun, Vivian adjusted her glasses and watched as passengers filed aboard. Most barely noticed her as they made their way to coach. A few fellow first-class passengers nodded politely as they settled into their spacious seats. Vivian pulled out her well-worn copy of The Color Purple, its spine cracked from countless readings over the years. She began to read, her hands relaxing on the pages. 20 minutes later, a sharp voice pierced the calm. "Excuse me." Vivian glanced up to see a middle-aged white woman standing over her. She wore a crisp cream blazer and a designer scarf, her blonde hair streaked with expensive highlights cut into a sharp bob. "I believe you're in my seat," the woman said, an edge in her voice. Vivian smiled, with the patience honed from decades of dealing with confused students. "You mean 1A? That's what my boarding pass says." She held it up with steady hands. The woman didn't bother to look at the ticket. The luggage tag swinging from her designer handbag read Victoria Hartman. "There must be some mistake," Victoria said, irritation flashing in her pale blue eyes. "I always book 1A. I'm a Diamond Preferred member." Vivian remained calm. "Perhaps they assigned you a different seat this time. What does your boarding pass say?" Victoria sighed dramatically and checked. Her expression darkened. 4B, she said sharply. "I specifically requested 1A. I always get it." A flight attendant approached. Ryan, his name tag read, wearing the serene smile of someone trained to handle in-flight disputes. "Is there a problem here?" he asked. Before Vivian could answer, Victoria jumped in. "Yes, there's been a mistake. I need seat 1A, not 4B. Ryan checked both boarding passes and spoke gently. "Ms. Carter is assigned to seat 1A today. 4B is also a first-class seat with all the same services." "That's not the point," Victoria hissed, lowering her voice but not enough to prevent other passengers from hearing. "I'm a loyal customer. I've spent thousands with this airline. I should have priority seating over—" Her hand waved vaguely toward Vivian. "Over what, exactly?" Vivian asked quietly, her voice velvet beneath steel. Victoria flushed, clearly aware she had an audience. "Over someone who clearly isn't a regular in first class." The cabin grew silent. Passengers sensed something was about to unfold. Ryan's smile wavered. "Ms. Hartman, please take your assigned seat. The flight is fully booked." "No," Victoria snapped. "I want to speak to the captain. This isn't right." "What isn't right, ma'am?" came a deep, steady voice. A tall black man in a pilot's uniform stood nearby, captain's stripes gleaming on his shoulders. His badge read, Captain Daniel Carter. Victoria's expression lifted in relief. Finally, someone with authority. "Captain, I'm a Diamond Preferred member. I requested seat 1A, as I always do. But there's been an issue, and this woman has been given my seat." Daniel's expression remained unreadable. "You mean my mother?" he said calmly. Silence. Victoria's mouth worked soundlessly as her eyes darted from Vivian to Daniel and back again. Only then did she seem to register the shared surname on Vivian's boarding pass and Daniel's badge. "Your mother?" she stammered. "Yes," Daniel replied. "Vivian Carter, retired school teacher. Raised me on her own while working 2 jobs. She's here in first class because I personally upgraded her seat after she put me through flight school. She deserves a little dignity and respect." His tone was professional, but there was a fire in his eyes. "Is there anything else I can help you with, Ms. Hartman?" Victoria's cheeks drained of color. No, she managed. I'll take my seat." Without another word, she retreated to 4B, avoiding the stares from nearby passengers. Daniel knelt by his mother's seat. "Everything all right, Mom?" Vivian patted his hand. Just fine, baby. Go fly the plane. I'll see you in Atlanta. As Daniel returned to the cockpit, murmurs rippled through the cabin. Vivian reopened her book, though her hands trembled slightly. 40 years of subtle and not-so-subtle prejudices had not made these moments any easier. But what Vivian didn't yet know was that this incident would ignite a series of events far beyond anything she or Daniel could have imagined. In the cockpit, Captain Daniel Carter performed his pre-flight checklist with smooth efficiency, but his mind was back in the cabin, watching his mother handle another moment of unjust scrutiny. It had never gotten easier. His co-pilot, Mark Reynolds, glanced over. "Everything all right, Daniel? Just passenger drama?" "Yeah," Daniel said, though his jaw tightened. Mark didn't press. In their 5 years flying together, he'd learned when to wait. Daniel exhaled slowly. "It was my mom," he said at last. "Some lady gave her grief for sitting in first class." Mark sighed. "I'm sorry, man, people can be—" He trailed off. "Yeah," Daniel replied, adjusting the controls. "People can be." As they taxied, Daniel thought about his childhood on Chicago's South Side. His mother had sacrificed everything to make his dream of flying a reality. Her mantra echoed in his mind. "They'll judge you before they know you, so give them something real to judge when they do." Daniel had taken those words to heart. He excelled, not in spite of the barriers, but because of them. Back in the cabin, Vivian heard her son's deep voice over the intercom. "We're looking at smooth skies to Atlanta, and I'd like to give a special welcome to one of our passengers today, my mother, Vivian Carter, who taught generations of students in Chicago." A ripple of warmth spread through Vivian's chest. Across the aisle, a young woman smiled at her. "Your son's a captain?" she asked. Vivian nodded. "Yes, that's my Daniel." The young woman introduced herself as Alicia Torres, a corporate attorney from New York. "I couldn't help overhearing earlier," Alicia said. "I'm sorry that happened to you." Vivian shrugged. "It's nothing new, dear. It shouldn't happen at all," Alicia replied firmly. Vivian studied Alicia's face. Her brown skin, her poised confidence. "What do you do?" she asked. "Corporate law. Heading to Atlanta for a conference on AI ethics," Alicia answered. "Impressive," Vivian said. Alicia smiled. "My third-grade teacher made me believe I could be a lawyer. Teachers change lives." Vivian's heart softened. "We live for that," she replied. Unbeknownst to Vivian, another passenger discreetly recorded the encounter. By the time the plane landed, the video had been uploaded to social media, where it quickly went viral. The caption read, "CEO of diversity-focused consulting firm demands black woman leave first class, then learns she's the captain's mother." Victoria Hartman, the CEO of Hartman Consulting, a firm that preached ESG policies and diversity but failed to practice them, found herself at the center of a public storm. The backlash was swift. Clients questioned her integrity, employees demanded internal reviews, and the board called for an emergency meeting. For the first time, Victoria was forced to confront the hypocrisy of her actions. The incident on the plane became a mirror, reflecting the disconnect between her professional rhetoric and personal behavior. Meanwhile, Vivian's story inspired others. Strangers reached out to share their own experiences with discrimination, and educators praised her lifelong dedication to students. Daniel and his wife, Dr. Lisa Carter, reflected on how to raise their children with the same resilience and pride Vivian had instilled in Daniel. By the time Vivian returned home, her quiet act of dignity had sparked a movement. Victoria, humbled by the fallout, took concrete steps to reform her company's practices, ensuring her firm truly embodied the values it promoted. As Vivian sat in her living room, flipping through her old teaching journals, she smiled. The world was changing. Not fast enough, but changing nonetheless. And she knew her grandchildren would fly higher, unburdened by the weight she had carried. The story of Vivian Carter, her son Daniel, and the woman who underestimated them both became more than a viral moment. It became a lesson in humility, accountability, and the enduring power of dignity.